Welcome to part 3 of the series in which we create the perfect travel watercolor palette. In the previous 2 videos, we created some mixes and we selected the final colors. And in this one, we're going to create the palette and create an artwork with it. What I did that I did not show you is I tried to decide which colors would go in a full pan and which colors would go in a half pan. I cut little pieces of paper like this and I wrote the name of each color and I tried to place them in my palette in a way that would make sense. So what I have here, I might make some changes still because these ones in the middle are pretty tight. But what I came up with is that here we have the pale colors. So we're gonna have the white gouache and the titanium whites. Here we have the primary colors and the black, which might go in a full pan because we have the room for it, so why not? This middle section here is the earth tones. Here we have the blues and some greens. And we still have a couple of spots left, so I was thinking maybe I could put 2 funky colors. So we have duochrome violet pearl, which is a color that I got recently that I think has a lot of potential. And the other color is Opera quinacridone, which is a color that at first I thought I wouldn't include in the palette because it's not light fast. But since I had the space for it, maybe I will include it for now, but once I wanna replace it with something else, then I can do that. It's pretty easy to make some changes. I was also wondering, should I put 2 full pans for buff titaniums or not? This is still a question that I'm wondering about. So the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to finalize the placement of each color. Then we're gonna put some magnets on the pans that don't have one already. And then we're gonna fill them up. After a couple of days, when everything is dried, then we're gonna use it for the first time and create something with it. I don't know what yet. We'll see. And I took this one out because there might be some colors that I already have here. So let's say I want to use sap green and I want to put a half pan of sap green, then I'm just going to use this one because it's already here. I'm just going to top it off, maybe clean it up a little bit and put it in my palette directly. But first, let's work on our order. Okay, I think that this is going to be our final placement. I think that this is less constricted and not as tight. So I think that this is going to work well, at least for now. And I can always change the placements or the pans or anything. Like I can change everything if I want to. So we're going to use our adhesive magnetic sheets to put some magnets under the pans that need them. Then we're going to fill these up. I already cut a sheet of watercolor paper that I'm going to use as a swatch card. So it's going to stay inside the palette, so I always know which color is where. I cut 2, in fact, just in case I make a mistake or I want to change something, or, well, if I don't use it, then I'm just going to keep it and use it another time when I want to create a different palette or when I want to add a new color, swap things out. So it's always useful to have it. so now is the time to fill up all of these pans. So I was thinking we could start with the first row, and as we go, I'm also going to do the swatch card here. So I already have a couple of paints that I took from other palettes that I had, since there's no use of having the same color twice, I think, for now at least. So I have 3 colors. I have Van Gogh Titanium Buff, I have Winsor Newton Yellow Ochre, and I have Daniel Smith Tiger's Eye Genuine. So these are the 3 that I already had in half pans, so I put them in here. We have Van Gogh Buff Titanium, now here's the Daniel Smith Buff Titanium, which I decided to make it a full pan. So what I do is I just take the tube and I squeeze it in there. And then I take something like this and I'll just mix the paint, make sure it's in the corners. It's a very relaxing process. Then I can use the paint that is left on here to create the swatch with it. So we can see that Daniel Smith Buff Titanium is a lot yellower than the Van Gogh one, which is why I wanted to include the both of them, because they're so different. And I really like the both of them. I couldn't choose, but I still ended up deciding to put the Van Gogh one in a half pan and the Daniel Smith one in a full pan. And I know that these are really small swatches, but it's really fun to try to lift some part of it. So we can put Daniel Smith Buff Titanium in here. Now let's do Daniel Smith Azo Yellow. It's my first time filling up full pans. It feels so good. You can really put a lot of paint in there. And what I realized I should have done is place the primaries in an order that makes sense. So maybe like cold, warm, cold, warm, cold, warm, which this is not what I did. I did cold, warm, warm, cold, cold, warm. Yeah, the red in the middle, I could have switched the 2 of them. So anyway, just wished I did things a little bit differently, but then I had written this card already, so can't really change things up right now. Well, I could, but I just don't want to. I'm a bit lazy. Oh, I could have done a much bigger swatch for Daniel Smith Buff Titanium because it's a full pan, so I gave it a lot more room on this swatch card. We're gonna fix that up after. Now let's do Daniel Smith Hansa Yellow. This one is a bit more runny than the others, which is good. I like this texture. It's easier to fill up the pans. So another full rectangle for this one. I thought that we could do another video in the future where we just create some mixes using these just to see what the possibilities are. Now, this is where I made a mistake. I should have done Van Gogh Quinacridone Rose before Daniel Smith Cadmium Red Medium Hue, because the cadmium is going to be warmer than the rose, which is cool. It would have been nice to do cool, warm, cool, warm, cool, warm. Anyway, it is not a problem because I won't forget which one is the cool one and which one is the warm one. It's just, it would have been fun to think about that before. Anyway. But what a pretty color. And what I found is that when you leave the fresh pans to dry, after a couple of days, well, when they're completely dry, they kind of shrink a little bit when they dry. So you can fill them up a bit more. So that's what I usually do. I wait for them to dry once, then I fill the ones that could use a bit more paint. then I wait another round of like drying time, and then the palette is really finished. Okay, now we have Van Gogh Quinacridone Rose, which I was debating if I would put it in a full pan or a half pan, but then I decided that all my primaries, I would like to have them in a full pan. And also, I was debating if I would buy a professional color, a professional cool red, or not. And I decided that since I don't think it's a color I'm gonna use too much, I'm gonna try to use up the one that I already have, the Van Gogh one. And if I find that I really use it a lot, then I'm gonna buy a professional version. This one I feel like I need to mix. I don't know if you can see, but I think that we can see the gum arabic separating from the pigment. So I'm just gonna mix it really well. It would be fun to discover this color a bit more and find out that I use it, because pinks are not really my type of colors. But I think that if I learn to mix my colors using pinks, then it could be a great color for me. It's just, as it is, it's not my color. But you know me, I would love to fall in love with it and have to go shopping for a new color. I would be very happy. But we're gonna wait. We're gonna test it out first. So I feel like I should talk about this one. This one is the M. Grams Artist Gouache in Titanium White. So I decided that I would put some gouache in my palette because I feel like it's super useful for highlights. Since gouache can be reactivated with water, I thought it's not just gonna dry there and be unusable. So it's gonna be perfect for me to add some highlights when I finish a painting, or I could also mix it with other colors to create like a more opaque version, maybe some pastels. So we'll see what we can do with that, but I thought that it would add a lot more versatility to my palette just by having it. Now we are onto our last one, which is Daniel Smith Duochrome Violet Pearl, which is a last minute add-on because I had a space left and I thought it would be fun to use this color a little bit more because it's a new one for me and it's not something I would normally be drawn towards, but for some reason I decided I wanted to try it. So I think that if I put it in my palette, I'm going to use it more for sure. And if I don't use it when I do like an updated version of this palette, I can always replace it with something else. But for now, we have the room and I want to use it. Okay, we're finished. So let's put these last two back in here. I managed to do this without getting too much paint on my fingers. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna leave all of this to dry and then we are going to test it out. So exciting. Hi guys. So today we will finish part 3 of our travel watercolor palette. So exciting. It's so cute. So compact. It's not too heavy. It's very fun. I wonder if they're all dried. I can see that some are a bit more sticky, like the cerulean from... What was the brand? Mgram. Cerulean from Mgram is a bit sticky still. So I'm wondering, is it because the binder is honey? I don't know, I have to do some research. I heard that when brands use honey as a binder, their paints never fully dry. So maybe that's why. I don't think that's a problem though, it's just a bit sticky. And also, as I explained earlier during the other videos, some of them, while drying, they kind of shrink. So I have to top some of them off. But first, I wanted to try them for the first time, do maybe 1 or 2 little paintings in my travel sketchbook. I'm going to recreate some pictures I took while traveling. And then we're just going to top them off and talk about our final opinions. Okay, let's do it. I think I'm going to try to recreate this picture here. This is a picture that I took during our vacation in British Columbia. We did a beautiful hike, and this was the view that we had at the beginning of the trail. Well, we weren't even at the trail yet. We had to walk because the car couldn't get to the start of the trail, so we had to walk there. But this was on our way back because I remember on our way in, the clouds were very low, so we couldn't even see the mountains. But on our way back, suddenly we just turned over and we saw this beautiful landscape. Oh, so pretty. So we're gonna try to recreate it. And I'm planning on doing the sketch using my watercolor pencils. In my latest Christmas guide / art tier list video that I published, I'm going to link it here if you want to see it. I said that I wasn't sure about these pencils because they leave a trace when you put some water on top. And someone told me that her other pencil brands did the same thing. So maybe it's normal. Maybe it's meant to be that way, and it could be something that you're looking for too. So I can see that. Yeah. We're just gonna embrace it. So this is the palette. Let me show you a close-up. As you may notice, some paints cracked, some paints shrunk a little bit. Yeah, it's to be expected. But let's try to do a sketch first. Oh, and we also have some new color tools that we can use. It will be very fun. I have my handy little chart here. When you see the swatches for these earth tones, you can see that they are much lighter and they're very different from what they look like in the pen. So that's one of the reasons why it's really useful to have a swatch card like this. So we're gonna start to work on the sky. So fun to be able to dip in a big pan. All of my palettes before this one had half pans, not full pans. Here I mixed a little bit of warm blue with warm yellow. Just to, I don't want to get a green per se. Oh, now I got a green. I just wanted to tone down the blue a little bit. Identical blue is such a powerful color. So powerful. It doesn't need to be an exact color too. So I'm just gonna start with a very light wash. And there are some clouds here, so I'm thinking maybe I should just like remove a little bit of paint here. Okay, and let's add a bit more blue to the top. So it's pretty hard to paint in a sketchbook like this As you see, the pages are not flat, so it kind of adds a challenge. I could put something underneath just so the paper would get flatter. I could do that. But when I'm traveling, let's say I'm doing a plein painting, or like I'm doing a very quick painting, I don't always have that luxury. So I think we're gonna try to recreate these conditions here. Let's just smooth out some edges. We'll wait for this side to dry before we smooth these edges out. Let's work on this little path here, since we're waiting for the sky to dry. So I think I'm going to use some Tiger's Eye Genuine. I find that this color sometimes is a bit hard to re-wet. And I think it would be fun to use a little bit of yellow ochre, buff titanium, just to create like a beige base. I have to remember that I want to stay very loose with a bit more, perhaps, yellow ochre. So I'm happy I put this color in because I was hesitating for a long time. But I think it's a very good decision that I made to include yellow ochre in my palette. It's a very useful color. Can't go wrong with it. And then I would like to put some green gold to work on the sides of the path. There is some bright bushes there. So I think I'm just gonna put some splashes of green gold, but I'm going to add some darker colors too. So it's just the first base. I love this color so much. And then maybe I could add some sap green. I like having my paints mixed like this together. It's very fun. Okay, I'm also glad that I put sap green in. It makes so much sense too, because this is a palette that I'm going to use at home, yes, but also while I'm traveling. And when I travel, I like to hike, and I'm for sure going to use this to recreate travel pictures, so a lot of landscapes. So it makes sense that I have a good range of greens in my palette. So I'm gonna put some Identron blue with my sap green to create a darker shade. For real, Identron blue is such a good color. So yeah, usually, I said that before in the previous videos of this series, but usually I think people tend to use ultramarine blue as a warm, for their warm blue. And me, I decided to use Identron blue because this is a color that I already had. I thought it could work well. So this is dried. I think we can add a bit more trees up there. I want this to stay as simple as possible, as I said, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on the shapes. Just wanted to add some trees here and there. I have one pretty tall tree here. Okay. Now I think we could add a bit of yellow in this mix just to bring it back a touch on a paler color. Let's add a bit of azo yellow just because it's cooler. I want to see what kind of color we can get. Oh, it's very nice. Let's add a little bit of phthalo blue. Oh, it's very nice. Phthalo blue is such a good color. I just think it's too vivid, it's too bright, so I'm going to try to tone it down a touch using transparent red oxide, just a little bit. Yes, I love it. A bit of cerulean maybe. I'm having so much fun with these colors. Okay, so it's kind of a grayish green, which is what I was looking for, because I have some shapes that are a bit more, yeah, on the gray side, while still being green, but oh yes, let's add some quinacridone gold in some areas. Oh, and let's mix it with quinacridone sienna. You know, it was the beginning of fall, so there was some leaves areas that were a little bit starting to turn orange. So I want to represent that here. I'm still not over this green gold. I'm gonna put it in the green that I mixed here, so it's not a pure green gold. Maybe I could add a bit of cerulean blue in there. Yeah, I can definitely see that my cerulean blue is not really dried, but I don't think it's a problem that much. It's just something I'm noticing. Okay, now I want to darken this color once again, so I'm going to add some Identron blue. So dark. I like to use Identron blue and quinacridone sienna when it comes to creating some really dark colors. And now I just want to add some dimension in some areas, some contrast. Now the only thing that I want to fix a little bit is here. I think it should have been bluer instead of green. So I'm going to try to lift a little bit of the color off. I want to work on some shading area in here. I'm just wondering which color to use. I think that desert green could be interesting because there is some green in there. Also, there's some red, so I think it could be a nice color to use. Let's work on the mountain and then do the final little details, and then that's gonna be it, because I don't want to overwork it. As I said, I kind of feel like using this neo color to just add like some scribbles and stuff. I feel like the neo color tools have a really good texture for like these kinds of stuff where there's snow on the mountain. Let's add a little bit of water to dilute it. I think we'll leave it like this. And now I'd like to test out my white gouache. So let's put some highlights. So I think that's it. We're just gonna leave this to dry. Oh, no, there's one thing I would like to do before we go, is just to add a little wash of orange on the path here, because it's a bit more on the yellow side than what I painted here, and I think it could tie this whole piece together. Okay, here we go. We're gonna leave this to dry, and we will talk about our final thoughts. For sure, I'm going to create more paintings with this palette, but I think it's a good point to end this video here. So this painting is done. It's dried finally. So I've done a couple, I don't know if you can see. I've done a couple of paintings in this sketchbook, and each of them so far remind me of a different memory, a different hike. So I'm super happy about the sketchbook. I think it's gonna be a great memory book. So I'm just going to write down where this picture is from. So here it is. Very happy about it. I really like the texture that I added at the end with the Neo Color 2. So pretty. Yeah, if I can just say my final thoughts on this palette here, I love it. That's it, plain and simple. I love it so much. I've had a lot of fun in this short little painting that I just did. So I'm really looking forward to playing with it a lot more. Obviously, I'm open to making some changes here and there. Please let me know of my color choices if you have some opinions. My main question is about this hazel yellow right here. I'm wondering if it's cool enough. Maybe I should have gotten a lemon yellow or something. So please let me know what you think. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm not gonna show you because you don't need to see that, but I'm just going to top off some of these colors and let it dry once again. And then it's gonna be finished. One thing I want to do, but you have to stay tuned for that, is I want to play around with the primary colors. So I want to practice doing some mixes, especially I have one thing in mind. Let me show you. I'm gonna go get my swatch book. So I talked about this swatch book a lot in the past. You may know about it. If you don't, you can watch the video that I'm gonna link right here, which is the video in which I created the swatch book. It's kind of meant to act a bit like a bullet journal, but for art stuff. And I created a page on color theory, just about some things that I had learned about. I got some colors wrong. I think that this is a warm red and this is also a warm red. I meant to have a cool yellow, a cool red, and a cool blue and do some mixes, but I got some weird results, and I think that it's because the problem is the red. It's too warm. So I would like to try this page again, do an updated version, but with my colors right here. And maybe I can use a lemon yellow instead of this one. Or like I could do a version with this yellow and a version with a lemon yellow. Anyway, what I mean is I want to work on some color mixes on color theory. I think you'll see these mixes in the updated video about this swatch book, because since I've started it, I changed a lot of stuff, and I kind of want to tell you what I would do different, what I would keep the same, and just tell you about my general impressions of this swatch book, because it's been probably more than a year that I've been using it. So I have stuff to say about it. All right, I think we can finish here. I hope that you enjoyed this series of video, that it inspired you to maybe start your own palette. Maybe it's going to guide you through that process, because I know it can be a lot. It's a lot of things to think about. Please let me know if you start your own palette or if you have any suggestions for me, okay? So in the meantime, take care and I will see you soon.